with authority. Aloha!
Welcome to the most muscles-in podcast in Bay Area sports. Welcome to a special edition of ABC 7 Sports.
With authority.
Wow, episode
23. They said it couldn't be done.
I feel like that every week.
They said it wouldn't be done. They said nobody would listen. Anyway.
Guest-driven.
Yeah. We just came off episode 22 at Chase Center with the owner of the Warriors, Joe Lacob. Kevon Looney was tremendous, talking about his mani-pedis. And then we continue the Warriors theme and Chase Center theme. General manager and director of basketball, whatever his lofty title is, Bob Myers. Combative. He was angry. He was rude to me. He was nice to Casey.
Very nice to me.
I don't know what is up with Bob Myers. What have I ever done to Bob Myers?
I know we want to get into this interview, but I think I might know what you did.
What?
Remember when we were all in prison together?
What? God, this just...
We were all in
God.
San Quentin prison together.
Yes.
Bob Myers was hosting a Warriors contingent, playing the San Quentin Warriors.
Yes.
The inmates are huge fans of ABC 7 because they get basic cable.
Yes.
And they asked you to come join them on commentary. So Bob Myers is playing with a torn labrum in his hip. He's battling out there in the heat against inmates. He's putting up 30 points, 30 boards.
He was like the Kevin Durant of that game.
He was unbelievable, and the whole time, Larry Beil was on commentary just riding him. Ripping him. I remember Myers at one point, it's like, Larry, what did I ever do to you?
I forgot about that.
That actually happened.
Do you think that's the source of his angst?
It might be.
The fact that he couldn't even hear what I was saying.
No, he did.
He did hear.
He
You
heard it
think
all.
that's?
I had him mic'd up. I could hear him grumbling at you the whole time.
Maybe I should apologize, but I won't. Here's Bob Myers. All right, Bob. So when you walked in this morning, and you've seen it's not totally finished, Chase Center, but what was your first impression?
Well, I saw you, and I thought, I hope I don't have to talk to
Not
him.
again. You don't think this goes back to years ago? You came on the show, and this woman afterwards said, she emailed me and said, that Bob Myers was so rude to you. I don't know how you kept your composure. Why is he so mean? And for years, I've had to explain to people, Bob is an angry man
upset.
inside.
I'm really frustrated.
Vindictive.
I felt great, and then I looked over and I said, "What is it? How do they let Beil in these places, man?" No,
But Casey's here.
Casey's
Casey's
here.
amazing.
I can just talk to Casey.
No, I'm not pretend I'm not even here.
Just
I'm not
right
even.
here.
Just look at him the whole time.
Here, I'll just put
Yeah,
this
just
right
put
here.
that right there.
I'll just hold
That'd be
this up,
better.
yeah.
Don't you have to go to the bathroom or something? No. Look, the arena is I mean, we were just talking about it off the air. Unbelievable, really. I just think top to bottom, you know, I've kind of been here a few times and walked around our campus, our players' campus, and business offices, and just the outside of it, and just the community to kind of feel this anchoring Mission Bay. But I will be most excited when I get to walk in here and watch our team. I mean, really, I just want to watch a game here. That's mostly how I feel when I think of this is I get to watch a basketball game here. There's some great musical acts coming in here. It'll host a lot of other events, but for me, the basketball part of it, I'll fully realize the arena when I get to see a game in here.
What does it do for you to have everything in this one spot? How much easier is this going to make your day-to-day?
That's probably the best question.
Yeah, best question.
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
Has that been asked before today?
Definitely not.
No, I brought that up to somebody else, but nobody's asked me how that would feel.
The only way he got the question is how will this change day-to-day
No.
operations? He's looking at my
I'm
phone.
winging
No,
it off the top of my
that
head.
and what he asked are completely different.
I'm completely off the top of
Never mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Ask.
Go ahead.
Can I answer Casey's
Yes,
question?
can he answer the best question of the day,
Can you
please?
just stay in your lane?
Stay out of this, Larry.
Here, wait a second.
Doesn't concern
Just
you.
back it up.
Chair
I
back.
can't see him.
I'll be out of the shot. Go ahead. Just talk to him.
It's much better. I like this.
That is, for me, selfishly, big deal. And maybe for other people, but to show up at work and just have one place, Oakland, our facility there, we're still going to use for camps and things like that. But for me, game day, shoot around was there, and then we'd go over to the Oakland Oracle Arena. But 880 is not super friendly in the afternoon or evening, so it will be nice, and it'll be a good change to just drive into one place and stay here. And that's the hardest part to get acclimated with in my mind, is that the game will start and we'll just walk from we have one locker room, one player's locker room, and and I have an office, and it'll be right. It's going to be new and a change, but in a really, really good way.
I have another question. I guarantee this hasn't been asked today.
Okay.
Should we let Larry back in?
Yeah, it's fine. He paid a little penalty box there. Was that a minute or?
He's
what was
pouting
that?
over there.
Shift change.
I felt the answer was boring, so I'm going to come back in.
Thank you. Let's liven it up. Let's get this interview going.
Do you have a favorite part of the arena, or is it too soon for that?
Probably too soon.
Looney said he was impressed with there's a mani-pedi station in the locker room. Do you have one?
I usually I demanded that. Really. my own one. Yeah, my own one. Yeah, not for any of the players, just me.
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's just my.
Did you get another new contract extension?
I'm grateful for my boss. Have you interviewed Joe? Did you bring him in here yet?
Did you get another bump?
It's
ridiculous.
What is going on here with this guy?
Well, if you're trying to exclude me from the interview, I'm going to get to it. Then this is going to be. We're going to jostle in the paint if that's what you want. You came in here with this attitude. I was nice.
Have I really been mean to you? Have you really? I thought we go way back.
I thought we were good, but you attacked me, and you went to Monte Vista.
Finals. What's going on with you?
I don't know. We should start all over again. We should start. I feel
clean slate.
But you did.
Yeah,
get
I'm fortunate. Yeah, I'm happy.
Extension.
I'm lucky to work here. And myself, Rick Welts, Joe and Peter have done a nice job. I think they, first of all, given me an opportunity. Monte Vista kid that didn't have any experience in this side of things. I always joke, I don't know that I would have given me the opportunity they did if I had been an owner of the Warriors. So I'm thankful for that. And then what's so hard now in professional sports is continuity. Luckily, we've had some success organizationally in winning, but Rick Welts has been here the whole time I've been here pretty much. Steve Kerr came in a little later, but he's going into his 6th year. A lot of the St. Raymond Ritter, who you guys know well, Eric Housen, our equipment guy, we've made a lot of changes, but the fabric over the last 7-8 years has sustained itself, and hopefully will continue to do that. And that's part of ownership, acknowledging, spending the money on this, taking care of employees, taking care of players. We've had huge payrolls with our players, but fans want to come to games and watch a good product. They want to sit in a good seat. They want to see a good team, and they don't really care. And I understand that how much it costs to do that. They just want to enjoy the product. And thankfully, Joe and Peter recognize that, and have really put that behind us winning, which is a great place to work. I've never gone to our owner and said, "Hey, I think this will help us win," and they have said, "Nah, well, we want to save some money." Some people do that. Thankfully, these guys go the other way.
Now I'm a San Ramon Valley High kid, so I appreciate you attacking him instead of me.
Wow.
That's
well, just
very
wait,
nice
Casey.
Of you.
Just
All right.
wait.
I'll be careful.
We'll get him. We'll get him. We got him. I didn't even know that. I don't even.
Well,
that is not. You're gonna tell me. I might storm out of here.
Old high school rivalries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the last season, the way that everything ended was just crazy with the way the injuries happened, the abruptness of it, and then free agency was like lightning fast. So how much did that extension you got help kind of alleviate just in your head just how crazy and how fast everything was going?
Yeah, it's the free agency this offseason was probably the fastest I'd ever seen as far as player movement, deals getting done. I expected that to some degree, but even with the expectation of it, it was more than I thought. And that seems to be the nature of the NBA right now. I think it's because there's a small, finite amount of high-level players, and they know what they want to do, and they're going to do it. There was a little bit of delay with some guys, but most of the big business was done fast. What does that mean? I don't know. I mean, I think you've seen it all on this side of things, and I thought coming from the agent side, I'd seen a lot of free agency and how it goes. But every year you learn something new. You try to prepare yourself. It's a team effort. We've got our cap guy in one corner, and he's answering the phone and running numbers, and Joe's available, and we've got assistant GMs and scouts and everybody weighing in, and Steve's usually somewhere else, so keeping him informed and wanting to call Steph Curry and our high-level players and inform them. It's a lot of moving parts. And at the end of it, the dust does settle, and you see what you have. And you don't really know what you have until the season starts. I mean, you can guess, but until you see the pieces fit, I mean, and I'm excited just like maybe you guys are, the fans. We'll see how it all fits together. It's not, somebody used the example of, it's not like you go to the grocery store and just pick out what you want. I mean, sometimes you look at the shelf and there's only one thing you can afford. So you have to get that and see how you like it. So But the nucleus of the team is pretty much the same. Love to have Clay healthy whenever he gets back, and we'll see what happens.
Wasn't there a funny story about when you visited KD and you got the word that he didn't want to come back, and then you're trying to communicate with Joe and the rest of the organization, and you got stuck in some parade or something?
Yeah, I just said that this morning. I was in Greenwich Village. He was staying down there, and I walked outside, and I know New York decently well, but not that well. And it was the LGBTQ Pride Parade, and I didn't know where I was going, and I literally got it. And if you get caught up in it, you can't get out. I don't know if that makes sense, but the sidewalks don't move because they're watching the parade. And I was trying to call Joe and let him know, and I couldn't. And then somebody at the parade said, "You don't look like you want to be here." And I said, "Well, I'm not." I said, "I got no problem with the parade. I just can't." I said, "I got to work. I can't hear anything." And so it was one of those moments in life. I just started laughing, and I eventually found my way to a quieter area.
You won't remember this conversation that we had because I think you eliminate them from your brain when we talk. But I was at the practice facility with you one day, and we were talking because I was concerned, having looked at the 2019 list of free agents, and the season had not finished, obviously, and I was like, I don't know about this. Doesn't look that promising, especially if one key member of the team leaves. And you said, "Oh, you're looking at the same list I'm looking at." And then I said, "Just assure me that in your office you have a grease board that says, if this happens, then I do this. If this happens, I do this." And then you have all these scenarios. You said, "Yes, we've got all the scenarios mapped out. I think we're okay." Did you have the scenario of Durant leaves and
Russell
sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell, and then spinning off Andre Iguodala, and so on and so forth? Was that up on the board or not really?
As we got closer, we did hypothesize, if Kevin left, is there anything we can do with Brooklyn? But until you really know, because that one wasn't specifically, hey, let's go target this guy right away. It was, well, if he would be willing to talk to us, and he'd be willing to wait and see if Kevin would, because Kevin has to be involved in that too. It's not as if Kevin would have to agree to sign and trade, Brooklyn have to agree to sign and trade, D'Angelo has to agree to sign and trade. We got to figure out a deal. That's a lot of decision tree markers that have to move off that place. So we had the idea of, well, if Kevin goes, is Russell a possibility? But without really getting to dive into that, we didn't know. So we had to more operate on knowns. But we were hopeful that Kevin would stay. But obviously when he left, we then had to think of quickly, is this real or not? And it was so many different parts to that one that until free agency began, we were able to connect with his people and say, hey, look, is this something you guys want to do? And it was that night. And heard like, well, do you think you can do it? And I said, there's a lot of things we'd have to do. Can you wait a little bit? Because this is a guy that could have signed that night to another team that had room, or a few other teams that had room.
You're talking about D'Angelo,
yeah. So we said, the messaging was, would you be willing to let us try and see if we can get it done? And the response was, yeah. If you can get it done, we'd probably do that. So until all those conversations could happen, we had the idea of if Kevin goes, let's see what we can get. And him being a free agent was a possibility, but I'm not so arrogant to think like, well, Kevin will leave, we'll just get D'Angelo. It wasn't that simple.
My head's spinning just thinking about all that. I can't imagine what it was like being in the middle of it, also getting stuck in a parade. But how much did guys like, ultimately, Kevon Looney help out, guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, Clay, and kind of hopefully the ease it was in dealing with him? How much did that kind of make your job easier this offseason, if it's even possible to make your job easier at this point?
Yeah, man, I think, you do what you can to retain those guys, and they're hugely important because in the NBA at least, I grew up watching, and maybe in other sports, you had a certain amount of guys that stayed on the team for 8-10 years, and that's just what it was. That's just not going to be the case anymore. So anytime you can have a group of guys that are within your organization for 10-something years, and hopefully that's Clay, Draymond, Steph, it really gives you a foundation and a culture. And that's the hardest thing, I think, in professional sports to develop. And that's where Steve Kerr and obviously our ownership, you want to create a place that even as certain players come and go, you've got this foundation and a brand that's powerful. Like the brands that the Bay Area even has, they're all pretty powerful brands because the Raiders, the A's, the Giants, the 49ers, because they've had success. You want to become viewed like that. And people are really what create that, and hopefully the same people. And so to retain some of those guys allows us to take chances and say, well, let's grab that young guy and see how he would fit in. Obviously, our spending was limited. We couldn't go out and spend a lot on proven commodities, so we had to look at certain guys and say, maybe this guy's young, he's got room to grow. This guy's maybe a guy that can benefit from our situation. But more uncertainty for sure going into the season. But having those guys gives us some certainty.
How hard was it, since Andre Iguodala was really the first big piece that you went out and acquired, kind of a foundation piece for the championship, to make the phone call to him saying, I got to trade you? I know you had a conversation with him prior to that saying, hey, this might be a scenario, but how hard was it to actually pick up the phone and go, Dre, I got...
That was probably the worst part of it, for two reasons. One, he was a huge part of what made us good. So from a professional place of we're gonna miss this guy on the court, but then personally, he's a hard guy to get to know in a good way, if that makes sense. He doesn't really let you in past, and he puts kind of a veneer up, and it takes a long time to kind of penetrate that. And to have been around him for the years that we did, for 6 years, and get to know him, it was harder to kind of make the call from a standpoint of a human being, as from a personal standpoint. That was hard. So both of those things. That was the hardest part of the summer. Him and Sean. But although Sean was kind of a different situation, but those guys will be missed. From a personal and professional, they were good. They were good for us. They were. We could trust them. You look around the locker room and you like to see those faces. So we'll miss those guys, and those are big shoes to fill from kind of a support standpoint. And that's probably not even a fair word to characterize those guys, but they propped up Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond, and they more than maybe you two realize the importance of them. But those guys are hard to replace, and certainly will be missed. And hopefully somebody can try and step in there.
You were pretty emotional the night KD got hurt. What was fueling that emotion, and did you know at that point, you suspected the injury was really severe with his Achilles? Yeah,
that was a lot. I mean, I think to hear, there's a lot of 5 years in a row of the finals, the exhaustion of that, the injuries we'd had, him coming back, knowing what he'd done, knowing what had been being said about him, and then just seeing him get hurt, and when he tried to come back and play, and you get to know these guys from a different standpoint. A lot of the fans see them just as these kind of mythical, unrelatable athletes. I mean, we do that a lot, not just basketball players, but any athletes. Their lives are perfect, and they don't have any issues, and they're out there at our pleasure. Instead of looking at them like, hey, they got to hear all the criticism, they got to hear the frustration, they got to hear the expectations. And to see him, mostly, this is a guy that, has basketball's kind of saved him in some ways. And so to see him get that taken from him, and all he wanted to do was just go play and help us try to win a championship, I felt for him as a person, because you get to know these guys. And that was, like you guys would feel for someone that you worked with that suffered an injury and they couldn't work in something they loved and wanted to do and wanted to support their teammates. So a lot of that was kind of coming out, and it's a you've been around our team as you're traveling through the playoffs. There's a weight to it, and there's a camaraderie to it that makes it great. That I think when that happened, the part that was interesting to me was a lot of people said afterwards, it was nice to see the human side of it, and I was thinking, well, that's all I know, but I'm in it, and so for a minute there, for me, it was looking at it from a fan standpoint, like they don't really see these people as people sometimes. They just see the money and the fame and the ability, and they forget. But I think a lot of us do that. So it was tough. It was tough for our team, and then obviously what happened with Klay.
Yeah.
That one was just. It was just at that point. For me, I remember when he went back and got injured. You're just kind of at a loss. You feel kind of empty, and when they told us, I remember being back at Oracle in the back room, and they said, doctor kind of whispered, this might be ACL. I just had the thought of let's just stop. It's just over. Like, let's just stop.
I actually was not looking forward to a Game 7 because I feared
someone's
what
going to get hurt.
was going to happen.
And that's a human. It's almost like that's the humanity in you going. I don't care. I just don't want anybody to get hurt anymore.
Well, because it's going to be a game where Steph is going to have to go for 40, which means he's got to do a lot of crazy things.
And you're very vulnerable. You've been kind of racked by So you all of a sudden feel vulnerable. You all of a sudden like, well, if that can happen and that can happen, well, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. And so it was hard for me to watch the rest of that game, knowing that it might be the last game in Oracle, knowing that Kevin had just had an Achilles, Clay's probably had an ACL. And we're playing, and obviously the players fought and competed, and we had a chance to win that game, and would have loved to have had a Game 7. But it's hard, like they say, the game goes on. If that was 7th grade or 8th grade or 5th, they just stopped the game. They go, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
They just stopped the series. But this is professional sports, and that's not how it goes. But it was almost one of those things where, there's certain times where you feel for the people and you go, do we got to do this? I mean, we got to keep doing this? Because that was one that was hard to, even still, I mean, looking back on that series going, wow, I mean, has that ever happened before where, you lose a guy?
Yeah, I can't think of it.
But anyways, proud of how we moved through it all the best we could.
How much have you talked to Steph, Clay, Draymond even, and how just fired up are they to kind of prove the doubters wrong now coming off of the off-season?
I think they're more feeling that acutely than I mean, as far as, because when you hear people doubt us, in effect, they're doubting them.
Yeah.
Right? They can doubt me and say the team's not very good, and you say, well, you did, I'm being criticized, but when you critique the team, you're critiquing sometimes the best players, and you don't think they're going to be any good, and I think they're saving that emotion for the season and saying, okay, and you've heard them say, you think we're done, and that's their pride.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're doing anything. I don't think I don't think they need that motivation, but I think they're going to hold on to that and say, okay, you're kind of counting us out, and maybe that drives them a little bit more. I don't know that they needed it, like I said, but I think they're kind of holding on to that and saying, we're gonna show some people.
I know in the immediate aftermath of the finals, a lot of people saw what happened, and then your team composition changes dramatically. Some thought, well, the Warriors are going to, especially with Clay being hurt, use this as kind of a gap year, almost a sabbatical. In fact, Steve joked about it. Can't we just, with the commissioner saying, can't we just go to Italy and drink wine and ride bikes for next season?
Pretty good, right.
But I'm guessing, especially with the new building, you guys are not thinking gap year. You're thinking, no. I mean, it's a reset, and maybe a refresh. I thought there were a lot of times in the last 2 seasons, really, where it almost felt like there wasn't enough oxygen for this team. It just felt like the weight of expectations and rumors and just everything that was going on. It just... there were probably days it wasn't as much fun to come to work as you would have liked it to have been.
And I think that's I haven't heard that said that way, but you're right. It felt like the air was thin. You couldn't get a deep breath. Why is that? That's a lot of different reasons why that is. Years of it, the scrutiny, the success, everything, just trying to stay connected in the height of media, in the height of this unusual team, and the fact that we've been to the finals. I think that we never view it. I mean, you joke and say, can't we just take a break? But then, all the personalities, they want to work. These are high-achieving people. They're hardworking people. Even Steve, jokes with that too. But he's one of the most competitive, hardworking people I've ever been around. So, sure, it would have been nice maybe for a few months to go to Italy. But I think we would have gotten, had we been granted that sabbatical, I think come November would have said, can we come back now? But no, it's... I think looking back, I'll have a better appreciation for what the last 5 years was than I do now, and the cost of it, the benefit, the whole thing. A lot to consume, a lot to process. But it is fascinating, though. We're coming to this new place, and it's almost like things move on. You move on fast. I mean, Oracle. I mean, even for me, sitting there the last game of the season, looking around, going, "That's it." Maybe I was telling my daughters, I'm driving to work for a few more days in Oakland, and that's it. And I just keep going. And you don't get to kind of sit there for a month and ruminate on this stuff. You just now we're working here. Now we're playing here.
You're in San Francisco now, right?
Yeah.
You moved.
Yeah, we live in the city. So for me, no more Bay Bridge.
Oh,
there you
I feel
go.
bad for you.
I get that bridge every single
Yep,
day,
me too.
bud.
Makes me feel better that you're on that bridge.
Why? You know, you
I had to do it. We had a
You
good.
had a
I did.
to end
I
on a
couldn't.
nice
I couldn't do it. I
positive
couldn't.
note.
That's not who our relationship is.
I know, but if you couldn't do anything, you could have attacked the San Ramon
I know,
Valley
I
guy
know,
instead
I know.
of going
I don't
after
know.
the
I know,
Monte
but
Vista
we have
guy.
a camaraderie. Our relationship's
have-
so strong. We can joke like
We
this.
have a strange but wonderful
No, it's
relationship. You're
fantastic.
strange and I'm wonderful. But up.
All right, I give up. I give
I
up.
think we're done. Can we talk about your contract again? Because it
No,
makes you so
that's- yeah,
uncomfortable.
I know.
Did the Lakers really
Casey,
go
what-
after you, or did you plant that? Did
Are
you
we done?
plant that?
Casey, are we done? We're done.
That
think
was
we
a
can-
Thank
planted
you.
Story. Did you have your agent plant that? Was that
Everything I
real?
do is planted.
To get
Nothing's
him-
real.
I know. What is your burner account? Wait, can you give us the name? What is the handle on
Are we
that?
done?
So I can-
Are we done?
I think we
Casey, can we
probably-
go?
I think you're good. We'll let you go.
That's,
Thank you.
This will probably be our final podcast with the Warrior
Thank you.
guest. but
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's-
very
it's
much.
great to
It's
see
great.
you. As always, every time I'm stuck on that bridge, I'm gonna think of Bob Myers
Oh man.
in his posh San Francisco undisclosed location with his feet up,
Oh,
laughing.
man.
I'm gonna
No.
text you.
No,
I'm gonna
do it.
text
Please
you.
do it.
Can I
Please
text
do it. Yeah,
you?
do it.
Okay,
Text
I'm
me.
gonna text
Thank
you
you.
the shot of
Yeah,
where
text
I am
me.
on the bridge. This is the traffic on the bridge. Here's the metering lights, Bob. Here's
Text
the metering
me.
lights.
Oh man,
All right,
no, it's
I
good
think-
stuff.
I
Good
think
stuff.
we're done.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Casey. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you.
So Bob, he wants me on that bridge. He needs me on that bridge. The Bay Bridge, where I spend we both spend so many
Fix the metering
good
lights.
times. The metering
I hate
lights.
the metering lights.
metering lights cause traffic jams. If you're aggregating this, take this part. The metering lights are the biggest problem on the Bay Bridge because whoever is setting them does not know what they're doing. Okay, enough about that. After Bob Myers, we had the opportunity. Well, it wasn't even so much an opportunity. He just showed up.
Yeah, he pretty much did.
He said, Kelenna Azubuike just said, yeah, I will be next on the podcast.
Yeah, so on every show, we tell a story. I'm going to tell a very quick, abbreviated story about how we landed this huge guest in Kelenna Azubuike.
Please do.
We had recorded an hour of interviews. Joe Lacob, Kevon Looney. We just wrapped with a very combative Bob Myers.
Yes.
And so we start tearing down all the equipment, and then Azubuike shows up and he's like, hey guys, I'm ready for the interview. And we're like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
let's get him on. Let's do this.
I'm a big Kelenna fan, so even though technically he works for the competition, but he's a former Warriors player. Everybody's going to be watching him on all the games next season, so I thought it'd be great to have him on. And he also, not combative, but funny. So here is Kelenna Azubuike. You're one of the new voices of the Warriors moving into a brand new building. You played at Oracle. You won't get a chance to play here, unfortunately.
No.
But what's your impression of the new building, just to start out?
It's beautiful. State of the art. Technology is crazy in here. They already showed us where we're going to be. The booth, it's kind of on the mezzanine level on this side. And the whole back wall is a green screen. So we get to break down game film during
During the broadcast, you're going to be able to just step back and...
kind of like a Monday Night Football
Okay.
type feel, right? And usually you see the color commentator and the play-by-play guy on the floor,
Right.
But I feel like it's better for us to watch the game kind of from a higher level because you can see plays develop more, you can see angles better, and sometimes on the floor you're looking through the ref, through the coach. Sometimes you're trying to find a way to get around and just look and see angles and see why things are happening. So I think it'll be better for us. I'm really looking forward to it. But this arena is incredible. I was talking to Looney about the locker room. I still haven't seen that. I'm gonna go after this, but he said it's incredible. They said there's TVs in every locker, and there's all kinds of state-of-the-art analytics stuff where they can track the shooting percentages and where you're making shots from and what you need to do to get better. All these different things. It's at their fingertips. So it's just, it's the arena in the NBA, and it's the biggest scoreboard in the NBA. So it's an incredible place.
All the arenas, the TV screens are preset to ABC 7. I just want to let you
Did
know.
you
that. Yeah, no, I
did-
went in there
Really?
manually. I
Did
went
you
in
do that?
manually, yeah. And
That was you?
Can't be changed.
Wow,
Yeah, no.
that's
so you're going to see a lot of us.
incredible that
Yeah,
you
you're
were
gonna
able
see-
to get
yeah,
that
no.
done.
Yeah, we went in the early in the construction process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that's That's something.
Yeah. When you look at this place, I know for the longest time all we saw was renderings. And for me, the first time I really even saw the outside, it didn't look real to me, even though it was right in front of my face. So, like, what are kind of your impressions? And is it hitting you that this is going to be your office?
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It's kind of hitting me. Yeah, it's a reality now, right? And I haven't been here since it's been this done or even close to this done. And it's insane. It's so nice. And I feel like it looks like it's maybe a little more intimate. Like there's not a lot of...
That's exactly what I said, too.
Right.
We were talking to Joe Lacob.
It's a little more upright. The seats are a
yeah.
little more upright. So there's a lot of good places to watch the game from. And I just love that the restaurants, the food in this arena, it's going to be kind of authentic to the Bay Area. So it's really going to be a Bay Area experience. It's the Bay Area's team. And a lot of the same people that were going to games at Oracle are going to be here at Chase Center. I think the atmosphere is going to be a really cool one. The passion will be there. The energy will be there. And I think this season, the fact that it's kind of a refreshing season, underdog season, the sense of urgency will be there. Mm-hmm. Probably more for the Warriors than it has been in the past. During the regular season, the regular season was a little more boring.
You
just
just
get to the playoffs. We know you're a championship team. You're probably going to win it all. You're going to crush this team. And now it's, okay, they got to come play. Because there's going to be some teams that come in here and you're going, can they beat this team? Can they compete with this team in the playoffs? This is an important game. So I think the players will kind of revel in that and will play with a little more joy maybe than they did last year and feel a little more free to just go out there and have a good time and leave it all out there.
I see a lot of 135, 133 type games.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be super high scoring, close. Yeah, just nail biters. It's going to be fun to watch games in here as a fan. I feel like, I'm not saying it wasn't loud at the end in Oracle, but you could feel the complacency a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's human nature. Obviously, you see the talent that your team that you're watching has, and you see this team coming in, and you're going, well, we're going to crush them. We should. If we don't, it's a disappointment. If they do, well, of course, it's what they're supposed to do. So it was still really loud and passionate in there, but that's kind of what it became for the Warriors.
Well,
and that's great. You aspire towards that. You want to be on the top of the mountain, but I think as Bob was saying, you're not going to stay there forever. So now it's kind of a different feel, and the players are going to enjoy that feel, and I think the fans will too.
Well, even Kevon Looney was in here saying, yeah, a lot of times guys knew we could just turn it on when it matters the most
Right.
and pull it out because they had so much talent.
Yeah.
I know that you've been asked this before, and I'll ask it because, I don't have a lot of original thought. But
Your thoughts are great.
they really I appreciate you. You're a great color guy already. You're complimenting the play-by-play.
There you go. There you go.
It's easy to see why you got the job. But you were really close with Jim Barnett, and you're replacing Jim Barnett. So probably some mixed emotions, even though this is a great career opportunity for you.
For sure, that's my guy, and I owe him a lot because he's one of the first people I talked to when I was getting into broadcasting, and he actually connected me with NBC Sports Bay Area. So if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be as far as broadcasting goes. So I'm really appreciative to him, and he was so good for so long, right, over 30 years, and just had a very unique voice and a very unique perspective, and the way he watched the game and the way he broke things down and told you why and all these different things. So my thing is, I just have to be myself. I can't go in there and try to be Jim Barnett. He's a classic 101 legend. So I'm just going to be myself and talk about the game the way I see it and kind of tell you why and let Bob do his thing. And I come in and I add color. That's what I do. And bring my personality to it. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm so fired up, man. I'm pumped for this season and the future, and really looking forward to sitting in that booth and watching these games and watching these players do what they do.
Now, you came into NBC Sports Bay Area about as I was leaving. I was one of the people that launched the place. But, who are some of the people that kind of have really taken you under your wing, in addition to Jim Barnett? Like, who are the people that kind of coached you up, helped you become as great as you are now on the broadcast?
Well, I had so much fun working with Greg Papa
Yeah.
and Gary St. Jean. Those are my guys, and I love those guys. And we really enjoyed each other on and offset. We watched games together.
Saint with his newspaper lounging.
Yeah. And we're all just basketball junkies.
Yeah.
And we'd watch the game. We're loud. We can't help ourselves. We're going, oh, did you see what happened? Did you see how he came off that screen there? You see how he set him up there? You see how the defender shot the gap? He shouldn't have done that. All these different things. That's just the way we are, and we have fun with each other. So I'm going to miss being with those guys more often. Hopefully I get to do some hits or whatever. But those are my guys, and I really appreciate them. Obviously, Devin Fox, Matt Murphy, and everybody there that is heading it up. I really appreciate that, too, because I feel like my time there really prepared me in a way for what I'm about to do. And it was a really valuable experience, and obviously I'm still going to be working with them a lot, but I'm really appreciative to them because it's nothing like being able to work with great people and going into work and it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And you're able to enjoy it and laugh with your coworkers, and it's just, there's nothing like it. So that's what that experience was for me, and I'm forever grateful.
Casey tells me that every day.
Every day, yes.
He's grateful. He's grateful.
Shouldn't he say that?
Yeah.
No? I'm just kidding.
Can I ask you a deeply personal question?
Sure.
Are you sure you're okay?
I feel like it's going to be a different kind of deeply personal, but yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, how many bicep curls are you doing every day? Because this is ridiculous.
And
You
teach
haven't
us
stopped
the
playing.
ways.
Do you wake up, the first thing you do in the morning is like, okay, I'm going to bang out 100 at 100 pounds an arm. What is going on with you? You haven't played basketball in many years. What are you doing? What are you eating?
I actually get up in the middle of the night and just start doing
You
curls.
just rep them out. No other body part.
Yeah,
You obviously don't do legs. I can
Most
see
people
that.
sleepwalk while they sleep. I just do curls.
Sleep
I
curl.
can't even help. I'm just. It just happens. No, you know what's gonna make you mad?
What?
I don't do curls, ever.
Don't lie on
I'm
This
I'm
is
not
a
even.
podcast. A lot of
I
people are going to
promise you-
listen to this.
I promise
Kelenna.
you, I'm not
this
even
is a
playing.
bad start to your broadcasting.
I promise
career
you, I'm
for
not
me.
even-
Lie on the podcast.
I'm not even playing. I bought them on eBay. I didn't.
Oh, these are implants.
Yeah. They're not
like
real.
a Kardashian.
They're
Oh, I
implants.
did not. I feel
No.
better now.
No, listen.
Because I'm in the gym all the time, and
No,
I
listen.
think if I could just look like Kelenna, if I could just look like Kelenna.
A lot of it, honestly, a lot of it's genes. If you see how my dad was, you see my brothers. It's all kind of the same. We're all just muscular. I was like this before I started lifting weights. Honestly, I had pretty big arms.
So as a young child, like an 8-year-old,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
ripped, you
Right.
were shredded.
I was shredded, but maybe they weren't this big, but they were. I still had big arms where people would look at me like in 5th grade, be like, "Why are your arms like that? What is that?" And so that. But then the things I do now, I kind of do more body weight stuff. So I'll do like a lot of planks, a lot of different exercises that get your biceps, but don't focus. Because if I do curls, if I focus on curls, my arms will be twice as big. It's ridiculous. I can't do certain things.
So
because
you
I'll
can't-
get that
you're
big.
so big you can't do curls.
It's just
Is
the
that
way.
what you're saying?
Yes,
That's
You won't be able to get
I
dressed in
have
the
to
morning.
stay away from curls.
Yeah.
I see the curl machine, or
And you
not.
go, run
Is there a
away.
curl machine? What?
What?
I see any of those. Yeah, I see all that stuff, and I have to go the other direction because I can't. If I sniff that area,
You just explode. You're just like the Hulk.
I
when
basically-
it's-
basically.
it's crazy.
I see they had to tailor workouts for me in a much different way in college because I'd get too big and it would mess with my shot.
So do you don't even lift, do you?
I do lift, but I just don't do curls. I just
You said you do a lot of planks?
So I'll do planks. I like to do pull-ups. I like to do a lot of core stuff. As far as arms go, I don't really do a ton of arms. I don't really do triceps. I don't really do it because I don't need to do those things. I'll look ridiculous. I'm telling you, that's not even. I've done this before, and I've gotten to the point where I'm like, this is stupid. What do I need to look like that for? So all those other things I do, I just do a lot of more body weight stuff where I'm focusing on other areas. Definitely my core, because that's huge for me with my injuries and my back stuff and my knee injuries. If I don't have a strong core, I'm going to be off in a lot of different ways. And then I try to do a good amount of legs, but I can't do like extensions because my kneecap is still higher than it should be. So I do like leg press, I do leg curls for the hamstrings, I do some IT band stuff and some hip stuff, but I don't do curls.
So if you were to put out the Kelenna workout video, there would be no curls in the video.
It would be no curls, and it'd be a lot of circuits. because I like to just go.
No time
heart
for
rate
chatting
up.
in the gym.
Yeah, you can chat, but do it while you're doing cardio. I'll do cardio and I'll be talking on the phone, or and it'll just fly by. I'll get like an hour in, and I've just been talking to someone on the phone.
So basically, my takeaway is I should not feel inferior with my own physique just because I don't have your genetics. So I can't just.
I have no control over that.
Okay.
You have no control over that. You look good though, man. I mean, look at it. You're good.
Okay.
I feel like
I feel better.
I feel like you're good in the
better.
gym.
I feel slightly better about myself.
He's
Slightly.
about to go back to the office
Slightly.
and Google, get on eBay and start looking everywhere
Yeah.
you can for those biceps.
Planks are great though. I love planks.
Yeah.
So you can do all kinds of different variations.
What's your longest plank?
Usually I'll go like 2 minutes on each side, but I don't try to.
You're not going for the record?
Right.
There's a guy that did
I'll do like 6 minutes, but I'll do a bunch of them in 6 minutes. You can't rest. You know what I mean? So I'll be up on my front, and then I'll go to the side, and then I'll go to the left side, and then I'll do it again. So like 6 minutes of that, and it just kind of makes you stay in there for a while, and it really.
You're on fire.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to feel the burn.
Did you see there was a guy that did? I can't remember how many hours.
I want to say it was like 11
Was it
hours.
11
something
hour
crazy.
plank?
Was it like the Guinness Book of World
Yeah,
Records?
11
it was
hour plank.
crazy.
How many hours do you think you could do?
If I really, because I feel like you got to build up to that. You can't just like, okay, I've been doing 2 minutes and now I'm going to try to go for 2 hours. I won't be able to do that.
Right.
But if I built up to it, I don't know. Maybe I could get to where I can go that long.
Maybe
But
that's the
why would you ever want to
challenge.
be sitting there? Like that's the most boring thing ever. Why would you everybody want to be sitting in a plank position for hours?
Well, it's either that or bicep curls, which you claim
Yeah.
you don't do. Which you say
I
you
think
don't,
I'd still
you
rather
say-
I'd still rather plank for 10 hours rather than do one bicep curl. Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
We kind of deviated from the interview
Did we?
part.
I feel like that was
That's how our
good.
interviews tend to
so
go.
we kind of
It's
just
okay.
meander off into
I like
no
talking
man's
about
land.
working out. That's fun.
Okay, well, maybe we could work out sometime. But
Let's
I
do
don't-
it.
I think I'll feel even worse about
No,
myself
listen. See,
afterwards.
the workout I do, it's for all different levels.
And age groups
of
is
fitness.
Is this discrimination?
I wasn't
Age
gonna say it. You
discrimination?
said
Is that
age
what it
groups.
is?
I said levels of
He's
fitness.
been very sensitive about that today.
You don't have to go for 2 minutes. You can go
Okay.
for
All
30
right.
seconds to start. You can go for 45 seconds. You can do all kinds of different things, all different variations. It's just as long as you're doing circuits, so you keep your heart rate up. You can do all kinds of different variations. You can bring in Bosu balls, and you can do things to throw off your balance, so you get a little more core. It's all kinds of stuff.
All right. I feel.
So we can work. We
Okay,
can
all
work.
right, we're gonna do a workout.
Let's do it.
Okay,
I got
all
you.
right, I feel more of a man now.
We'll be trembling after a minute.
I'll be.
1 minute.
Do you ever
we're done.
cry?
We'll do it for the
during
gram.
workout? Has
We'll
anybody
just-
ever cried during?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I cry? Is it
Yeah.
bad if I cry?
Listen, cry. Do your thing.
Okay,
man.
all
I mean,
right.
just
That's
let it out.
me.
Let
That
it
is
out.
That's
me.
getting
Some
water
people
weight out.
sweat. You cry.
gotta get the
That's
water
all
weight
right. That's
out.
your thing.
That's
Get out
how
that
I
water
get
weight.
drenched.
Yeah.
It's just tears. Just
It's just a lot of shaking and a lot of tears.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
make it stop, Colette.
Are you sure you want to work out with him
Can't
still?
I do one bicep curl? No, we don't do biceps around here.
Listen, if you want to do bicep curls, you could be doing that while I do another exercise,
Okay.
and then we'll meet
All right,
up.
'cause circuit, 'cause
We'll,
that's a circuit.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
We'll
okay,
meet up
okay.
at the other spot.
All right, I feel like we're getting somewhere with
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah,
thank
let's
you.
do it.
Kelenna.
Hey, brother.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me. Yes, sir.
You know, like Kelenna, I am not going to do curls anymore because if you look at him, I mean, that's the physique you want. So I just think it's ridiculous to keep doing more curls when you can look like Kelenna without doing curls.
I know.
You
He
agree?
said he curls in his sleep. But we pretty much do that too. We don't even realize when we're doing curls.
Yeah, sometimes I just like go into the refrigerator and I just kind of the weight's in my arm and I don't even notice it.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
that's when you have like this is the gun show over here. You want
We
tickets to the gun
We
show?
are in incredible shape on
Yeah.
With Authority.
Yes. Not sure how many more we can do of these.
We weren't supposed to acknowledge we were doing
Oh,
these curls.
that's right. We're not doing
That
curls.
was the whole bit.
We're not doing curls.
Right, I'm putting it
You're putting it down? I'm not putting it
We'll do
down.
hammer curls.
Putting what? Putting what down?
Putting what down?
Putting what down? How do
going-
people get
I'm
the
going lefty.
podcast? We're both turning red.
If you want to see these bulging biceps, you can subscribe to the podcast anytime on iTunes, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, or on abc7news.com/withauthority. And where can you see
Why
the
are you
video?
Why are you talking like that?
When I do curls, I turn into an 80s professional wrestler. Cream of the crop.
I gotta switch arms. Okay. I could go for another hour now.
You can watch us on YouTube.
Brother. Hulk Hogan. Take your vitamins, kids. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
What are you going to do when the With Authority podcast comes looking for you? Oh, yeah. Brother. With Authority.